What's up guys, today we're talking about Pale Rider and whether it would be a good main for you in Gundam Evolution. So, starting off, Pale Rider is what I would call a mid-range flanker. It uses a rapid-fire hit-scan weapon that deals damage well at medium range and has a total of 24 shots. Pale Rider has 1000 hit points and good mobility with 2 dash bars, and Pale Rider is very good in the flank. And that's because it has high medium range damage, and also it has a self-healing device that it can use to pocket itself while it's on these flanks. This is very good to flank with just as a general gameplay, but its G maneuver makes its flanks even more powerful as it gets increased movement and increased damage. That's honestly perfect for flanking. So honestly, if you like running around the enemy and blowing them up with tracking aiming, then you'll enjoy playing Pale Rider. If you've played Soldier 76 in Overwatch and like that character, then it's basically the same. So you'll really like it. So jumping right into some of the important things. How good is Pale Rider? Pale Rider is honestly extremely good. It has a very high damage output and the ability to take advantage of it consistently and thoroughly. Its healing pad is very useful for pushing aggressive flanks with. While other characters have similar or somewhat more movement, Pale Rider's ability to heal itself while on the flank just will keep it there so much longer in an impactful aggressive position. In addition to that, its healing pad can be used just to heal up teammates. And since there's not that much healing in the game as a whole, occasionally it can be pretty solid to just toss it onto your core of your team and run off, which, like I said, situational, but still beneficial. Other than this, though, its utility is lacking, as both its grenade and EMP grenades are kind of useless. The grenade's okay, but the EMP grenade is legitimately useless. Like, don't even use it unless they buff it. It travels like no distance, and it just slows the enemy for a little bit when you could just be pumping damage into them. So, the thing, though, is that Pale Rider doesn't need this utility, as its base ability is just extremely effective, and its ultimate is arguably the strongest in the whole game. It buffs its 60 damage per shot by 60% and increases its movement. Considering the fact that Pale Rider already has a 2 times damage headshot, that means the total headshots will do up to 320% damage, meaning it's a 6-shot kill to the head, which also means that Pale Rider, while using ultimate, could kill an enemy every 0.5 seconds, which is absolutely crazy. As for the mechanical skill, the hitboxes are pretty forgiving in Gundam Evolution, but it's still where all the majority of Pale Rider's strengths lies in. So if you can't aim, it can be a little bit rough, but it's not like excluding just because of the fact that the aiming isn't too bad in the game. So while it's really important, it's not something that can necessarily just stop you from playing it if you aren't like the top level players. In general, healing pad doesn't require a lot of mechanical skill, and the grenades are not consequential enough to affect anything really. It's just not the main focus of the character at all. As for game knowledge, Pale Rider doesn't really require the highest game knowledge to play effectively. It will get a lot out of its game knowledge, but like it's not too just intensive in general. Understanding how to take off angles on the enemies and knowing when to engage on the enemies are really what you have to know. This is, after you flanked, knowing when to engage in the enemy when your team's ready, and understanding a good time to go in is what you would need to know to play the character. Knowing when to use your ultimate is also very important, though, just because your ult is so influential that using it at the incorrect time is just a complete throw. It's literally throwing away a whole win for a fight. Grenade and EP usage are pretty simple. You just, yeet your grenade every now and then, and you don't use your EMP grenade. Healing pad is pretty simple in general. You just use it while you're on the flank. So, in general, the character doesn't require like a massive amount of game knowledge, so don't worry about that part too much. Will Pale Rider get buffed or nerfed soon is the next thing we're talking about. I don't really expect them to do a lot of changes on the character, as it's most likely to be used as a measurement to scale other mobile suits off of, just because it's very solid and simple and consistent. I do have to say the EMP grenade is likely to get buffed because it's honestly so useless right now. Though this, regardless of whatever they do with it, is not really going to substantially change Pale Rider too much. At the minimum, it's not going to make it worse. Grenade also gets a buff, but this won't really change too much either, because again, its damage is just coming from consistently flanking, pumping in damage, and tracking enemies well. I don't really see its ultimate or its damage in general getting nerfed like anytime soon, but they could do some in the future. But that's kind of far away, so I wouldn't really worry about it too much. It's just that at the high tiers of the game, Pale Rider is probably going to be very oppressive. I'm genuinely kind of concerned about how oppressive it will be when really good players get their hands on it. How fun is Pale Rider? Pale Rider is honestly very, very fun. It's very, very enjoyable if you enjoy playing these type of characters, playing these type of damage characters, or just in general like playing games like Call of Duty, right? It doesn't have any hard counters in the game, which is really, really nice. So you're free to just run around and beam enemies down with your tracking aiming. And with that point, it's very fun if you like tracking based characters. And also something I really like doing when I'm playing with it is just honestly just being a nuisance. Running behind enemies, running on the side of them, just never let them knowing where you're going to pop up from is really, really fun. It's, it's just hilarious in general. And you also get to frag out with it. Pale Rider does in general lack a bit in the nuance of what other mobile suits have, their specialties of being more hero shooter based. But if you care more to kill things and hear the sweet, rapid headshot sounds just hitting onto the targets, then you should pick Pale Rider. For the final rating, it's going to get an S tier. It's just an excellent choice. The reasons are because it improves relatively as you improve. So your character's not going to fall behind as you improve. It's got just as high of a skill cap as you have skill potential. It's really good for all skill ranges despite of it, meaning that it's just solid at all ranks. Doesn't get worse as you get worse, sort of a thing. And it's a really, really good flexible choice in most situations. I honestly don't really think there's a map or situation that I wouldn't really suggest somebody not to play Pale Rider into in competitive mode. Maybe in some like high 6v6 competitive pro play, there could be something like that, but just in general, you won't have any issues. So you're going to be able to swap whenever you want to. When things aren't going well, you want to carry, you swap on a Pale Rider and you go pop off. And one of the excellent things about that is just because of the way that its ultimate works. Its ultimate is a fight winner, meaning you can farm the ultimate and you can play off of that ult expecting to be able to carry a fight with it. And so that's really, really nice. Other characters have an issue where they have to rely on other people to finish certain situations, like pushing a second point capture. It can be really hard just because of how the respawns work. And so sometimes you just need someone with a really powerful ultimate that can just go and just finish enemies off. And so being a Pale Rider will let you do that by yourself. Additionally, from this, it's a really good option for learning other characters because it transfers into a lot of different things. It transfers into close range flankers like Zaku and sort of also Exi and Barbatos, not because of the aim, but because of like just the flanking aspects. And then also transfers into Ashimar, RX-78, and even somewhat something like GM Sniper. In general, the character's not really probably going to be getting a lot of substantial nerfs, so you're not going to have a lot of issues on that front either. So in general, Pale Rider is just a really, really good main, and honestly, like, easily one of the most consistent and solid mains that you'll ever be able to play in this game. Going to use Pale Rider as your main, then make sure to check out this Pale Rider mobile suit guide I made. In the video, I talk about its abilities, its strengths and weaknesses, when you should play Pale Rider, and how you should play it. Later, guys.